Hello, hello. Welcome to another Clinical Connections training. Thank you for watching, whether you're watching in the Facebook group or you're watching on Instagram, or maybe you are watching on YouTube. I'm happy you are here. Happy to be sharing more information with you all. Glad that you are actually back to hear more of what I have to say. I do enjoy what I'm talking about all the time. So thank you again for being here. One of the most common questions that I get from new clinicians is, what CEU should I take? And they're asking this question literally like right after graduation, which always really it amazes me. It takes me back a little bit. Um, I do understand that in some states you are required to get some CEUs within your first year of licensure. I do get that, and I will talk about that in a little bit. But I'm always really amazed because, like, you just graduated, right? Don't you want to take a little bit of a break from learning all the things? Like, you've just spent an intense 3 or 4 years just doing nothing but studying. You've learned a lot of stuff. Why do you want to already take CEUs? So that's why I get a little bit taken aback by it, but it's okay. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. There are a bajillion courses out there, and it can be really hard to decide which ones you want to take, right? So I'm going to be talking about continuing education, when and how to continue your education post graduation, how to choose the ones that are best for you, how to pick good quality CEU courses. Right. So for anybody new here, I am Dr. Jody Miller. I'm a physical therapist and a mentor to PT students and new grads. I've worked in just about every setting that there is for PTs. I've worked in acute care, I've done oncology, I have done a lot of outpatient, I've done pediatrics, I've done travel physical therapy, I've done a lot in skilled nursing facility. I've been a rehab director in a skilled nursing facility, and I've also done lab assisting and adjunct teaching. And now what I do is I own a cash-based practice in the Tampa area, working mostly with gymnasts and cheerleaders, and also your weekend warriors. And I'm also the owner of Clinical Connections Mentoring, which is where you are today. So what I'd like you to do is, if you are watching live, please type live in the comments. Tell me who you are, where you're watching from. I just like to know who I'm talking to. Same thing, if you are watching the replay, just tell me who you are, where you're watching from. I'd just like to know who's watching. Also, while you're there in the comments, please tell me, what has been your most favorite CEU course that you've attended, and why was it your favorite? So let's kind of get a list going of, for anybody watching who hasn't done a CEU course yet, what's your most favorite one that you've done, and why was it your favorite? So I want to start with simply talking about just continuing education after you have graduated. So in school, it was probably drilled into you that you need to stay current, that you should always be learning, that you have to practice using evidence, right? These are all really good things, and I want this for all of you. This is how we stay relevant. It's how we provide quality care for our patients. If you stop learning, you stop growing. And evidence-based practice keeps us just up to date, as we learn new information in the profession, as the research changes, right? It helps us stay current. Like, hello, talking to you, core stability for low back pain, right? As research changes, we want to stay up to date with that and be current in our treatments. However, I want to remind you that if you've just graduated, if you're watching this and you're a new grad, you were likely taught the most recent information. You already have the most recent evidence. So you are up to date, right? So like your PT school or your OT school, they taught you the most recent stuff, the most recent evidence, okay? So you already kind of know, like, that's not your reason for doing continuing education courses. It's not, it shouldn't be to be relevant and current. You're already there. Okay. I'll give you an example. I remember my first PT job out of PT school. I worked in a small hospital, but it was associated with my PT school. I went to Elon University in North Carolina. My first year there at that hospital, they had a series of continuing education courses, and they just came to the hospital every couple months, but it was kind of throughout that whole first year. They were all orthopedic, MSK, manual-based courses, everything from head to toe that kind of covered every joint. And because the hospital hosted, we always had 1 to 2 free seats for each course. So I either got a free seat or I did pay to attend 1 or 2 of them, but I pretty much went to each of them and earned the CEUs that I needed. Problem was, the information that they were teaching in the courses was the exact thing that I was taught in my ortho classes in PT school, because it was the most recent evidence and the most recent information. So Um, Even the manual skills that they were teaching, and the techniques that they were teaching, I had learned all of those in my ortho class. So even the instructors of these courses were like, yeah, her technique is really good. Like she already knows this stuff. But my point is, I didn't learn anything in those courses my first year, right? I maybe learned a couple new exercises, but that was it, right? So I want you to understand that if you are a new grad watching this, please know that you probably already know the most current evidence and the current techniques that are out there. So you don't need to rush to all the CEU courses in your first year as a clinician because you're afraid that you might not have the most current information. This reason doesn't really apply to you. It will in a few years as new research comes out, we gain new evidence, but for right now, you likely are as current as you can be in your practice. Okay? Additionally, if you are a current student watching this, you really do not need to be taking CEU courses while you're in school. Okay, I get it. It can be really, really enticing to sign up for the course that your school is offering because you get that student discount, but you are still learning. That's why you're still in school. So give yourself some time to just digest what you are currently learning. And you're learning a lot of information. If your school brings in a specialty course or a certification, I really invite you to just pass on that opportunity for right now. You have all the time in the world after you graduate to take the courses, to get really specific on what you want to know. You will be a much better student and new grad clinician if you stay open to all of the possibilities for techniques and ideologies in PT. Okay. So if you sign up for that McKenzie course in your second year of PT school because it's half off, and you believe that you need to know all of these things right now to better treat your patients, you actually might be doing yourself a disservice by kind of pigeonholing yourself into one belief or one technique. Trust me, one technique does not work with every patient that's going to walk into your door. Okay. So if you're a student, I encourage you to say thanks, but no thanks to any courses that are being offered to you at a student discount through your school or while you're a student. Okay. Allow yourself to learn what your school is teaching you, put that knowledge to work on your clinicals, find your groove as a new clinician, figure out what you really like, then find courses that teach that specific technique or more about that information. Okay. Now, let's talk about how to choose the best CEU courses for you. Okay. This is going to be different for everybody that is watching. Okay. I don't recommend choosing a course because your coworker asked you to join them or because it's in a really cool location or maybe because your family lives there and it'll give you opportunity to take a trip with it, right? I do recommend choosing a course because the topic is something that you want to learn about, the topic simply interests you, or because you're trying to fill a gap or a hole in your current knowledge. Those are really the three reasons why you should be picking a CEU course. So let's say you want to learn more about Parkinson's disease and you want to start a specific program at your place of work. This is a really good reason to take an LSVT course, right? If helping patients with Parkinson's is a passion for you, then you absolutely should be taking this course and then grow that offer at your job. However, let's say you own a business and you want to target another patient population just as another form of revenue, maybe patients with Parkinson's. This is not a good reason, especially if you aren't passionate about the diagnosis or that patient population. So, attending a CEU just to add another form of income or another revenue stream is not ideal, and it's also not a guarantee. So, don't pick CEU courses just to grow more revenue, especially if you're not interested in that topic. Now, let's say that you absolutely love working with baseball players, you really want to know how to better treat them, or maybe you're getting stuck with intervention ideas with this population and you want an update on the most recent evidence for treating this population. Then find a course that's going to improve your knowledge of working with baseball players or overhead athletes. This is a really good reason to attend that CEU course and expand your knowledge. Now, let's say the school that you attended for PT school, OT school, whatever, didn't teach you much about postpartum rehab. You're really interested in helping this patient population, or maybe something like your amputee class was really lacking in the content, but it's really something you want to know more about. That's when you would find CEUs to fill your gaps in knowledge on that specific topic. Okay. So ultimately, here, when it comes to figuring out what CEU courses are best for you, the answer is think about what interests you the most. Ask yourself, what do I really and truly want to know more about? This is what's going to help you choose a course that you're really interested in, and you will then value that experience. If you choose a course because your boss said it's a good one to go to, or because it was super cheap, or because all your friends were going to it, you won't see the value in it. Probably going to get really bored throughout it, and you're going to feel like you wasted your time. When you walk out of a really good CEU course, you want to feel motivated and excited to get back to work so you can apply what you've learned. Trust me, this is a really, really good feeling. A good CEU course will bring out that passion in you again. I've left some really good courses that had me thinking about all of the ways that I could now use that new information to better help my patients. But this is only going to happen when you've chosen a course that you really, really care about. Okay. Next, I want to talk about how to pick a good course. Okay, so like I've mentioned, there are so many CEU courses out there. There are conferences and CEU accounts that offer a large variety of topics like MedBridge, physicaltherapy.com. There are in person courses, there are on demand courses, there are free courses through APTA, there are CEU courses through your state chapters, all of them offering a million different topics. So it can be really overwhelming to figure out which courses to choose when it's time for you to get your CEUs. So let's talk about what we should do here. First, you got to figure out how credible the presenter is. So you know that if it's through APTA or a state chapter, that the person presenting is probably pretty valid and credible. They likely have presented at other conferences, or they're involved in teaching, maybe in a PT or an OT program. So they have experience. That's why they've been asked to present through a chapter. Understand that anyone can create a CEU course and sell it. So this is where you want to do some research on the person that's presenting or creating the course. You do not want to pay for a CEU course and walk out feeling like you wasted your money and you didn't learn anything. That is an awful feeling. Okay. Now, you can trust that a conference that you attend, maybe CSM or ELC or Ascend, you attend a conference, especially if it's through the APTA or AOTA, that you have a really good information, right? That those conferences are going to provide some really good information and be backed by evidence. Those will be worth your time and your money, because being able to speak at a conference is a really extensive process. They don't just let anyone speak at conferences, okay? The speaker has to provide their references before their submission is accepted. And it's often required that most of those references be within the last 5 years. So you know that you're going to be getting quality learning for the price when it comes to getting CEUs through conferences. Okay. Just a bonus here. There are some other really good benefits to attending conferences other than just learning CEUs, but it's really a different topic for a different day. Okay. So conferences are going to be a really good source for getting CEUs. Now, CEU companies like MedBridge, they offer a wide variety of online courses for a very low price. So this is a very common way for most clinicians to get their CEUs. It is helpful because it's one place to get a lot of courses on a lot of different topics. They can be done in your own time, which is always very convenient. And most of the presenters are credible, but I would still recommend doing your research on these presenters. Okay. There are other companies who offer similar subscriptions, but in these cases, remember, anybody can create a course and sell it through these companies. So just do your research on who is presenting. Okay. In general, you will likely get more out of an in person course compared to an online course. So if you're looking to improve your skills, especially in a hands on profession like we are in, you might get more out of a live course than an on demand course. Okay. In a live course, you will get more interaction with other people. You're going to get your questions answered right away. And you're probably going to get some feedback immediately on your performance when learning, those new hands-on skills. Okay. Here, this will depend on the topic, so just kind of keep that in mind. Like if you're looking for a course on documentation, an online course is probably going to be fine here. But if you're looking to learn about pelvic health and hands-on interventions, then you're going to want to attend an in-person course that's going to be much more beneficial to you. Okay. So ultimately, when you're trying to find a good course to get CEUs, think about the type of information you want to learn, do your research on the presenter, and consider the source of those CEUs. Where is it coming from? Okay. This will help you kind of weed out the good continuing education courses from the bad ones. So it's important to choose CEU courses, the decision to get a certification or even other degrees. You need to choose them for the right reasons. Okay. I often get asked things like, I'm thinking about getting an MBA so I can have that on my resume so that I can have a better chance of getting into management. You think that's a good idea? My answer is usually no. That's not the reason to get an MBA or another degree. You should be getting another degree like an MBA because you truly want to learn more about business. Similarly, I hear things like, I'm going to get my OCS so I can get a raise. Again, this is not a good reason to spend $800, spend hours studying and stressing over a test. You should get an OCS because you want to know more about orthopedics and you want to specifically treat these types of patients. Okay. I also hear things like, I need to take as many CEU courses as possible so that I can stay up to date on everything and so that I can know how to treat anybody that walks into the clinic. Again, this is not a good reason to spend countless time and money on a course. There is no way to know everything or to be able to easily treat every patient that walks in the door. This belief, if this is you, if you have this belief, you've thought this yourself, it's actually coming from imposter syndrome and perfectionism. Okay. So remember, you want to choose CEU courses that truly interest you, that cover topics that you want to know more about or to fill in those holes. Okay. So it's really important to get clear with yourself on why you want to take CEU courses or get advanced certifications or even earn other degrees, right? Because if you're doing them for the wrong reasons, you're going to feel super stressed, definitely frustrated, and absolutely you're going to feel overwhelmed. Then you're going to feel angry, right? Because you spent your weekend sitting in classrooms, angry that you spent $300 on courses that actually sucked. Okay. If you're doing them for the right reasons, you're going to enjoy your time. You're look forward to getting back to work and like trying those new things that you just learned. It's such a cool feeling to get that fire back after you've attended a really cool CEU course. Okay. Also, pay attention to what qualifies as continuing education units in the state that you're licensed in. Every state has different rules. They have different number of required CEUs. Some things that qualify in some states do not qualify in others. Like some states require specific number of CEUs to be live. Some don't. Some say all of them can be on demand. Some states give CEUs if you take a student as a CI. Other states don't. Some states will give you CEUs for teaching a course or speaking at a conference. Not all of them do. So some states require specific courses be taken, like human trafficking or medical errors. You need to pay attention to that in the state that you live in. Some states require CEUs every year, some require them every 2 years. Just pay attention to what's specific, okay? Some states will even give new grads a pass until that first renewal. So you don't have to have CEUs until it's time to renew. So again, just pay attention, know what is required, and follow the rules for the state that you're licensed in. Okay. I hope you learned something new today. Please go ahead and drop in your comments your aha moment, something that really stood out for you, something new that you learned. I want to thank you for watching. If you have any questions about anything that I talked about today, please feel free to message me or drop your questions in the comments. I will definitely come back and answer you. All right. See you next time.